travelers. Pandit Omkar Sharma, Namaskar. He has just explained the essence of the knowledge which is coming from ancient times, and still people study, explore, and discover new interpretations. So I will just try to translate in English some of the things he has said, perhaps using a slightly different vocabulary, because we have come into age of technology, modernity or post-modernity, and we are rushed to know things quickly. I don't have a whole lot of first-hand experience of death, although I have had one experience of near death, which was quite rewarding and interesting. This subject is where the ancient wisdom and traditions, spiritual traditions of India have made the greatest contribution to human knowledge, that is the science of life and death and mind. What is existence? What is coming and going? What is eternal? And what is transient? This is a topic that most often is ignored. We don't have time, it is not a good subject to think about or try to understand. Something forbidden. We'll worry about it later. Especially around the time or soon after the loss of a dear one, when we all are filled with grief and emotions, it is difficult to focus on something, pay attention and try to understand. It's a topic that appears to be complex, but what I have discovered is actually very simple. If we are able to connect the dots and relate it to what we know, what we observe, and what happens. So, in a way, it's a very long and deep subject, can take a long time, but what I have chosen to do today in front of you is basically highlight a few points, exactly 9 points, and I will just say a sentence or two on each of them, and afterwards, if something appears incomprehensible, you are welcome to ask me 1 or 2 questions. If there is time, then I will see if I can answer them. So the first point to note is that life and death are not two separate things. They complement each other. They are two aspects of one physical or material process. This is true for all objects and living organisms. So there is no life without death, no death without life. This is a law of nature. What begins must end, and what is born must die, like bubbles in water. The second point is that body is made of matter and energy, stuff and what moves this stuff, which in essence is empty space. 99.99% of our body is empty space. It appears to be solid and discrete, noticeable, and you can touch, but actually it is close to nothing. We have also heard of scientific laws of conservation of energy and matter, which says that nothing can be created or destroyed. Only form and shape can change. And also, according to Einstein's discovery of E equals mc squared, like energy and matter are interchangeable. So it is a play of energy and matter which are actually one. But one thing more is needed. Energy and matter alone don't produce life. They can produce insentient objects, stuff they can produce, but they cannot produce life. So energy and matter, which is one, plus something is needed, and that is consciousness, Chetana, which in simple terms, although in science it is considered the hard problem, but let's soften it a little bit. Consciousness is basically subtle knowledge or knowledge which makes matter or energy move. How it moves, how it becomes aware, that is consciousness. If we really look closely, what we observe that every minute, all the time, cells in the body are birthing and dying. New cells are born, old cells are discarded, and after a few years, you have a totally new body. And it happens many, many times during a lifetime. So which body is that which dies? And in the midst of all this change, as I mentioned, example of bubbles in water, bubble is formed and disappears. But the knowledge of how bubble is formed does not die. And the ocean is there. More bubbles form and dissolve. But what remains constant in all these changes, your body changes, becomes invisible. I would say invisible, better than say it's dead, because nothing really dies or is born. The sense of I, the self, because when you were a child, you say I. When you are growing after 5, 10, you still say I. I am this, I am doing this, I know this, I don't know this. Middle age, older age, you say I. So there is something called I, which is always present in all the perpetual, endless changes. Just like seed produces a tree grows, produces fruits and flowers, vegetables, and then falls, makes more seeds and more trees come up. Stars coalesce out of dust, then they explode, more dust is produced, more planets and more stars are made, and this cycle keeps going on eternally. The fifth point is that for any change to happen, something has to be unchanged, unchanging. Because if everything is moving, you don't know which one is moving. So this floor is stable. I can walk on it. I'm moving in relation to the floor. So that which is unchanging is eternal, against which all changes happen and are noticeable, observable. Then we also notice that what changes is gross. Gross means material, physical. While the unchanging is subtle and hence invisible. For example, ice is gross and localized. It melts and becomes water, which is fluid and spreads out. Then it becomes air, which is more subtle and invisible. Therefore, as I said, the gross is localized, embodied, while the subtle is diffused and pervasive. Which also means by corollary that more subtle means more pervasive, and most subtle means all pervasive. The all pervasive and eternal, according to Sanatana Dharma, is called Brahma, or pure consciousness. Nature and all material phenomena appear in consciousness as discrete objects and life forms. Hence, we are part of the whole. The parts change, the whole is immortal and eternal. So what we call moksha, nirvana, liberation is actually freedom from life and death and oneness with the whole. The seventh point I wanted to mention is one such discrete phenomenon. Discrete means localized, embodied phenomenon is Jivatma, or individual soul, which is like a drop in the ocean of consciousness, or that consciousness called Paramatma or Brahma. It appears momentarily and dissolves and merges in the ocean. If the drop gets colored by karma and sanskara, sanskara is deep-rooted sentiments, emotions, likes, dislikes, prejudices, what has made grooves in your mind, that's sanskara. Plus karma is what determines transmigration from one life to another. And then when it takes form and shape, it becomes a distinguishable drop until its individuality dissipates and it again merges into the ocean. Hence, everything and everyone is born out of knowledge of itself plus some energy to sustain its unique features. In other words, the knowledge of whatever exists has to exist before its existence. Otherwise, it will not know what to exist. So a flower exists because the knowledge of the flower, how photosynthesis takes place, how it extracts nutrients from the soil and air and sun, that knowledge exists prior to the flower existing. So the knowledge of life and death exists prior to life and death existing. So that which exists, based on which everything is manifest, that is the eternity, and that is what human beings, which are different from other life forms and certainly different from physical objects, is that we have a touch or a whiff of consciousness. We can contemplate, we can try to understand, which is, and plan and project and strategize. All these qualities are in human consciousness. Therefore, only we as humans have the capacity to get deeper understanding of the subtle existence. Finally, last point is what actually we mourn when we lose a dear one, loved one. What we mourn as individuals is actually our loss of ownership. If we lose something, which means we lose ownership over it, or something is taken from us, we don't own it anymore. That is what we call loss. For living beings, loved ones, that loss is loss of association and communication. Somehow the communication cable is broken, disrupted, and we cannot associate but it's difficult to associate. We as embodiment cannot associate with something which is unembodied. Gross cannot really know this subtle and communicate as a gross being. You need to go to your own subtleties to relate with the subtleties. So this is a journey from gross to subtle to the subtlest. And in reality, living or dead, we are all parts of the same wholeness or pure consciousness or absolute truth. Om Shanti. Thank you.